this is on records, to say our citizen is being harassed with his wife. And the embassy advised them to write the South African Human Rights Commission, which these two organizations began to interact over our rights. Nothing happened. And this made us also to take further steps, because the threats of our lives and the demand of money began to grow. It was in this moment when we were also visited by one of the police officers, known as Mr. Paul. He was, I think, a Captain Paul, who said that the General of the Hawks, a department which these 4 police officers were coming from, would stop our case if we would give him something. I remember some of my team members going to have a meeting with this fellow general, known as General Sibiya. So much money was collected in the name of this general to stop this case. Instead of the general to stop the case, so it was corruption after another corruption. Problem, you go to the authorities, they also are demanding for something, to end something. I remember my team having a meeting with the then General of Hawks at his farm several times. Having meetings with him at his residence in Silverton several times. An attempt for our justice failed. It was then I decided to even take more steps further. I went to have a meeting with the Inspector General. There's an office in South Africa known as the Inspector General. The good part, we have affidavits from each office I'm mentioning to you that we visited, that we went to. We took the affidavits because we knew tomorrow was coming. The director in this office, when we went there, they welcomed us, and it's the office that helped us. They simply referred us to a department known as IPID.
You must have watched the video of Prophet Shepherd Bushiri speaking, fiery, confident, and unshaken, as he dropped one of the most explosive claims South Africa has heard this year. In his latest live broadcast at the Enlightened Christian Gathering Church, Bushiri accused Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya of being paid millions to make his long-running fraud case disappear. Yes, you heard that right. The man once accused of defrauding thousands of investors is now claiming that the very people who were meant to bring him to justice tried to sell him justice instead. Bushiri did not mince his words. He told his congregation that senior Hawks officials, including Sibiya, were part of a deeply rooted network of corruption and extortion inside the law enforcement system. According to him, money was demanded from his representatives in exchange for protection and promises to make his legal troubles go away. The preacher went on to describe how his team allegedly met General Sibiya multiple times, not only in formal settings, but even at his private home and farm in Silverton, Pretoria. These were not casual visits. According to Bushiri, the meetings were about one thing: payment for protection. They told me General Sibiya would handle my case, he said. And if we cooperated, the matter would be stopped. He claimed that large amounts of money were collected in Sibiya's name, a claim that, if true, strikes at the very heart of the South African justice system. Now, before anyone thinks this is another celebrity tantrum, Bushiri's story takes a darker twist. He alleged that another officer, known only as Captain Paul, told his team that Sibiya and his superiors could indeed make his case vanish for a price. So much money was collected in the name of these generals, he said. Everywhere we went, every office we entered, someone wanted something. It was corruption after corruption. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, it becomes a tale worthy of a political thriller. Bushiri claimed that his team eventually involved the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, or IPID, in an attempt to expose the extortion. According to him, IPID set up a sting operation, a plan to catch the officers red-handed. But somehow, word leaked out. The operation failed, and the very people who were supposed to be caught ended up walking free. Bushiri alleges that someone inside the National Prosecuting Authority tipped off the corrupt officers before the operation could succeed. If this version of events is accurate, it paints a picture of law enforcement so compromised that even anti-corruption watchdogs cannot clean it up. Bushiri said that after the sting operation collapsed, the tables turned. The next morning, he claimed, the same people who had taken the money came to arrest me and my wife. According to him, the corrupt became the enforcers, and the victims became the accused. It's a story that reads like a political scandal wrapped in a spiritual soap opera. Bushiri's message was clear: his arrest and the charges against him were not about justice, they were about money and influence. He said the entire ordeal was both politically and financially motivated, and that corruption within the police and prosecution made it impossible for anyone to receive fair treatment. I still believe in justice, he said, but it cannot exist where corruption leads the system. Now, let's pause for a moment. South Africans have seen their fair share of scandals, from state capture to dodgy PPE contracts, but this one adds a layer of complexity. Here we have a high-profile religious leader, a man followed by millions across Africa, accusing one of the country's most senior police officials of being part of a criminal network. It's the kind of story that makes you wonder who you can trust anymore. And yet, many South Africans are divided on whether Bushiri should be believed. To some, this is just another chapter in the saga of a man who fled the country while out on bail. To others, it's a chilling exposé of how deep corruption runs within the system. The timing of these revelations is also worth noting. They come at a moment when the South African Police Service is already under scrutiny for alleged misconduct, political interference, and the mishandling of several high-profile cases. Bushiri's decision to name names publicly is bold, maybe even reckless, but it forces uncomfortable questions into the open. Was there really a plan to extort money from him? Did senior police officials use their positions to enrich themselves? And if his claims are true, what does it say about the rule of law in a democratic country that prides itself on transparency and accountability? Interestingly, this is not the first time General Sibiya's name has appeared in controversial headlines. Over the years, he has been associated with several internal disputes and investigations, though none have directly linked him to financial corruption of this scale. But Bushiri's accusations go beyond mere gossip, they touch on the moral integrity of the entire justice system. For Bushiri, this is also a battle for public perception. He knows that his name carries both fame and infamy. By positioning himself as the victim of a corrupt network, he is attempting to rewrite his narrative, from a man on the run to a whistleblower against a broken system. Whether South Africans buy that story or not remains to be seen. But here's the reality: his allegations cannot simply be dismissed. They call for serious investigation, independent oversight, and transparency. If the police and prosecutors are indeed playing both sides of justice, then the implications reach far beyond one man's fraud case. It means that justice in South Africa can be bought, sold, and negotiated like a market transaction. And if that is the case, then every citizen should be concerned. At the same time, there's a bit of irony here that's hard to ignore. Bushiri, a man once accused of manipulating faith and finances, now says he has fallen victim to the same kind of manipulation, only this time, from within the state itself. Some might call it karma, others might call it courage, but either way, his claims have sparked a national conversation. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: this story isn't going away anytime soon. General Sibiya and the Hawks will likely have to respond to these serious allegations, and if Bushiri's claims are proven false, he could face additional legal consequences. But if there's even a shred of truth in what he's saying, it would mean that corruption has reached levels that even the most optimistic South Africans can no longer ignore. So, what do you think? Is Prophet Bushiri exposing the dark underbelly of South Africa's justice system, or is he simply trying to clear his own name by pointing fingers? The line between truth and self-preservation has never been thinner. If you found this story eye-opening, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Bushiri's version of events, or do you think this is another twist in his ongoing battle with the law? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay questioning, and see you next time.